Hello, Internet. Welcome to what is normally Final Rites, but is currently Tabula Rakshasa. Our, let's call it I heard it called Short Shot, which I liked. Um, it's a D&D game where we are going to be dealing with the fact that our players don't know very much at all about themselves and are discovering it through gameplay, which I think went very well last time, and we are continuing their journey of literal self-discovery. Um, I am Angela. I am usually a player on Final Rites, but I am subbing in as your DM du jour. And let's introduce people really quick so that we can get started. Jason, would you like to tell the people who you are, what you do, and who you're playing as far as you know?
All right, yeah. Name's Jason. Address Jason, please, on Twitter. Find out where I'm at by looking at the pin tweet. How am I? Or was that one of the questions? I'm sure I'm
Sure,
okay.
I accept
Yeah,
it.
maybe that was one of the questions. Who I think I'm playing is a gnome druid by the name of Tarmin Damjar, which is an unfortunate last name. But,
It's a very halfling last name, actually.
oh, it's a very halfling last name, of course, not
Mm-hmm.
gnome at all. You see, I'm very attentive to everything that has gone on.
It's
Not at all
okay.
overwhelming.
Mustang, would you like to introduce yourself to the fine people?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mustang or Sarah, don't mind which. Um, and I am playing Zeradius, the Goliath cleric who seems to have a spooky ghost child following him about, if I remember correctly from the last session.
All of that is
Um,
fairly accurate,
yeah,
yes.
from what I remember, I was playing him, he was quite loud and concerned with how tall people were, so this will be fun.
So the general, and I'm going to start my timer now because this is how I keep track of myself when I'm running one shots. So the general gist of this game, the premise rather, was that I have, as the DM, both of these fine people's player character sheets. They don't have their character sheets. So I see everything that they are and everything that they are capable of doing, which I mostly randomly decided, and they're just exploring the world of this game while also trying to kind of interpret what I described to kind of figure out what their deal is. And so I have their character sheets in front of me, as well as the character sheet of our dear Rachel, who sadly could not make it today. She was not feeling well. Um, but soldiering on we will, and I have some plans for how to deal with the fact that Rachel has not been able to join us today. All right, so let's do a really quick recap of what the game has been so far. So, as I said, the players don't know anything about themselves. They don't know anything about their characters, and likewise, their characters do not remember anything personal about themselves. Each of you woke up in what seemed to be the upstairs guest rooms of a magic shop of some kind. You each had your own encounters upon waking in what also seems to be a very cold location, whether it's winter or it is an Arctic location. You are not 100% sure. Either way, it's very cold. Let's see, who went first? We had Zeradius woke up to the sensation of someone blowing air into his face and taking the covers out from on top of him in a very playful, prankish manner. And that seemed to be a giggling that he heard, and like the pitter patter of footsteps seemed to follow him around quite a bit over the course of our adventure. Zeradius seemed to uncover the idea that he has some sort of divine connection with some sort of force, and if I may commentate a little bit, Mustang, you latched onto things that I didn't even tell you about, and it was just wonderful how ridiculous he was as a character, including my favorite little bit of improv, his zebra boxer shorts that he wears.
Oh, definitely.
My favorite thing. So yes, Zeradius is a Goliath who doesn't seem to have any tattoos on him, And so he's a big, bold, beefy boy, and he seemed to latch onto this idea of he has some sort of divine connection. We had Pebble, who I will briefly describe. Pebble was an Earth Genasi. She woke up covered in some sort of moss, and seemed to have some sort of nature-ish connections. The reality of which was further solidified by the fact that she discovered that during your investigations that she could conjure a sword. So she seemed to have some sort of some arcane connection to something else that allows her to conjure a weapon out of seemingly thin air. And that was Pebble. And then Tarman, Jason, you woke with the distinct heavy purring of a snow leopard on top of you, who you, over the course of the one shot, discovered one, his name is Newt. Two, he has quite an attitude on him. And three, he seems to be your animal companion. You have some sort of innate natural connection to this animal, and you guys seem to hang out, is what the gist was. You all stuck your noses around a little bit in the magic shop. Zeratius, you pilfered a small magic item, a little cube of transfiguration, transmutation. It seems to change into different materials, maintaining that perfect cube shape, though, as you discovered when you tried to turn it into an edible berry, and it stopped being edible when you put it in your mouth. So it's very minor magic. And over the next few minutes, you also encountered a denizen of the town you're in, a surly, shaggy minotaur who seemed very upset at being pranked, it seems, with purple ink on his fur, but he did pay Zeratius some money for an apparent contest or fight that they had in which Zeratius won. Presumably the purple ink was the fallout or part of the combat that you had. Who knows? And immediately after that, you found the author of a note on the front door that said, "Do not leave. I promise I will explain things in the future. I am your friend, Circus." And Circus arrives. Circus arrived at the shop and was very glad that you were all in one piece, but seemed very apologetic and admitted that she was the reason that you all could not remember things about yourselves. And she promised that she had been gone collecting some sort of materials that she would need to convince a person named Eldris Sinove to please help you all regain your memories. That is approximately where we left off, though the very last thing that happened was upon being pleased that you all were getting along, at least some semblance of the connection you all had as a party is still there. Circus did casually mention that perhaps Tarman and Pebble were actually involved in some way. But that was just, casual. And she's not here, so we're not going to address it that much today. But so you are at Circus's shop, and she is making breakfast for you all. I think there were pancakes mentioned. There's kind of a, let's call it like a lingonberry juice, so like a tart red fruit juice, and tea for anybody who wants it of various strengths. She does have caffeinated and non-caffeinated herbal teas.
Tarman is just sort of looking at the spread, and given the thing of, oh, this will be like your first date, he's kind of looking toward Pebble every now and then he's going to take just kind of a long look at Circus and say, okay, first of all, apologies for being a bit intense. I don't know if that was, me before I lost this, but quick question. Does this mean that we're married? And he kind of just points to the 3 stripes that are on his forehead and on Pebble's forehead.
I don't assume things. You all don't really talk about the actual exact nature of it. It just seems like you're important. I don't know what you all did back at your clan, so I don't really feel like I can speak to that. Circus is, as you met before, a tan-skinned, half elfin woman. I believe she's full elf, and she has this like short black pixie cut, which she has now wrapped in a kind of a bandana as she proceeds to mix and cook pancakes next to you guys on like a griddle.
Good. Great. Fantastic.
As that's happening, Zeradius is just sat there with his cup, like,
That's none of my business.
he. Um, but it's just like saying nothing but pointedly looking at Tarmin and Pebble just over the rim of the cup.
Pebble also seems very caught off guard by this revelation, and every time you two make eye contact, she kind of glances back down at her food. She doesn't quite know what to do with that. And there is another chair at the table, so there's enough for the three of you, for Circus, and then another one in which Newt promptly hops up onto, as if clearly that's who that chair is for. And Circus doesn't say anything when Newt sits there. You have not been able to speak with Newt for the last several minutes because the spell that you had cast has faded. But you know what he's thinking at this point.
Wait, I had to cast a spell?
Mm-hmm. You instinctively cast a spell previously. You needed to be able to talk to him so badly that something just connected in your head and you knew how to do it. You also lucked out before by happening to be holding a material component for that other spell you cast, in which you made a little animal messenger flutter downstairs. You happen to have a morsel of food in your hand, which happens to be the exact material component for that spell. It was so beautiful, if the DM may say so herself.
There's that sort of like math equations floating in front of Tarmin's head. Mm-hmm. Just look as he's staring at this this cat. Very good cat. Wonderful cat.
You hear like the thump of a tail sort of whipping against the chair. And Circus does pull out like a jar that seems to have sort of much bigger fish than you had, and like slaps them on a griddle next to the pancakes. And in very little time, you are all presented with more of these lingonberry filled pancakes, big thing of like fatty butter and a syrup of some kind, like a really dark, viscous, almost like molasses thickness syrup. And you are handed those things, and in front of Newt, he promptly begins eating this little tiny fillet of fish that has been grilled for him to perfection. Circus seems very proud of herself. She seems the hostess type. Though she's not really bringing anything up while she's working, she seems to be very focused on like, okay, then we'll just put this in. You like sugar in your tea, but you might not. I don't know right now, so I'll just. So she's like going around trying to remember things as best she can, trying to make you all comfortable.
Oh, she's trying to remember things as best she can. Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
She sits down at the table. Okay, so eat up, and we will plan our trip, because it's a little bit of a jog. We'll get there in no time, maybe day and a half, and we'll entreat the Eldris to help fix things.
Okay. Just quick specifics. You know, this is a magic shop, right? And we know each other pretty well, yeah?
Correct.
Why didn't you keep on hand something that would reverse the process if something went wrong?
She gets a little quiet. Well, I'm in charge of a shop that is very minor trinkets. They're not. I don't normally do spells of that caliber. This was sort of new for me. Um, and something happened when I tried to do it, and it changed. It was different than I thought it was going to be. I didn't know what I don't know what happened. And that's why I'm thinking we need to talk to the Eldris, and she might be able to clarify a bit. She has way more experience with whatever the thing was that I yeah.
That thing that you
Yeah. Um See, you can't just like wipe someone's mind of thought. It's not, at least I can't. That's not something I know how to do. But there are things out there that like having thoughts in kind of a snack way. And so I talked to um I had this book, and it talked about she sees the flailing that is happening, and she kind of trails off a little bit. I don't know if you really care
Tarmin
about the details right now. It's happened already, so
Tarmin is gonna like basically hopefully like have a Sherlock's Mind Palace moment and see if he knows anything or like residual memory of anything that eats thoughts.
make an arcana check.
Oh god. Okay, hang on. Let's use this one. Oh, 15.
Okay, that's a 17. That's pretty good.
Okay.
So you hear this half coherent discussion about thought eaters, and you think maybe, I mean, there are fae that deal in really abstract concepts like emotions and memories and fears and secrets. They do things like that. And there are also potentially things that would be considered maybe demons that also would perhaps um, absorb things of value like that. You've also heard tell a little bit of things that devour intellect, but that's not quite the same as memory. And you all seem to have your mental faculties intact, especially since the fact that you can even think about this in an abstract, very esoteric way. So you have a couple of thoughts. It seems, though, regardless of the nature of the thing that Circus seems to have tapped into, it's probably bigger than she was expecting and bigger than she could handle. It seems like it was a very intense being that she might have been trying to deal with.
Just the shocked Pikachu face, just real quick.
Yeah. It's there are, the world is a dangerous place, and there are things out there that hunt intelligent creatures for their intelligence. It is not an uncommon. It is, how about this? It is uncommon, but it is not unheard of. And you're not quite sure the nature of what she's talking about.
Yeah, Zeradius, like, he'll slam his cup down, but like really hard, so like it makes everyone at the table jump. And then look at Circus and just say, like, all is forgiven. What's done is done.
She looked really shocked and a little scared at that thump. And then at those words, you just see her shoulders sag a little, and she just seems to breathe for the first time in several minutes.
And Tarmin's flailing in the corner. Like, I will give him like such a look because we're sat next to each other. I'm assuming Pebble sat across. So like, I'll just loom over him with like my 7 feet of height.
Circus smiles at Zeradius.
I don't know if I was this anxious before I.
Oh,
lost
you
my
were.
memory.
You were. You definitely were.
I
really should have expected this.
Oh, really? Wonderful. Great. One, yeah, that's whatever he just said. Sure. What's done is done. You've got a plan. You had a plan, But
I do.
now you've got us to
I've
help
got-
with the plan.
Correct. That's what I'm banking on.
Oh, believe me, I'm banking on it too.
Okay, so like I said, eat up. I'll pack some extras for us to go, so we don't have to worry about foraging or anything. I know that's sort of your thing, Tarman, but let's save some time. And
Wait, it's my thing?
you. Okay, so I'm gonna explain, but I do need it clear that if we spend every 5 minutes having me talk about a thing you used to do, we will never get to Eldra Sidive's place. So you might just need to like hold your horses a little bit. And she seems really uncomfortable at asserting herself like that. That being said, yes, you tend to whenever y'all go traveling, you always have like a bag of this is local regional fare. You can find it here and it does the following things if you don't eat too much of that. Like you like telling people about the things you know.
That tracks. No, that really does track. I must
Yeah.
admit. Yeah.
You found the book, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I thought I was a book
like
thief, but
it's
no.
your notes. Yeah, those are your notes from walking around. You like learning stuff and telling people about the stuff you find. And that's the gist of it.
Great. Food. That's a thing that we still eat.
Newt's been completely unperturbed by any of this and has just been very delicately. You hear like cat eating noises on the other side of just eating this like. You realize how relatively big piece of fish this was. But yeah, so we're going to pack up our things. I have a couple things. Zeradius, I have your bag, I think. Let me look, and she'll go into her satchel that she has, and she'll pull out a little string purse for you. I know you were asking for. I found a new ball for it, and here you go. I hope it works out okay. I hope it has the right bounce and whatever you were saying that was important. And she hands you a pouch, like a little leather pouch with a drawstring on it.
I'll open it up.
It as you hold it, it kind of clinks in this really dull way. There's like something little and metal in it, a little powell of it. And when you open it, there are these very tiny little like caltrops. It's weird. They're dull. They're not like sharp. They're not meant as weapons, but they definitely look like little caltrops. And inside, mixed in there, is a little brown rubber ball.
Okay. Is this like...
Yes, Tarman?
It's just I'm thinking of the right thing, like the children's game. Like you throw it on the ground, bounce it, and then pick it up as quick as.
It does seem to resemble a game of jacks. Yes.
Jacks, that was it.
But yeah, they're very finely made, and they have little. I mean, Zeradius picks a couple of them up, looks at them. They seem to have little runes on them. Like they're very finely crafted little metal caltrops with these very very pretty forged symbols in each of them. Can't really tell, Tarman. You're not really sure if it's decorative or if there's actual like meaning to them or anything like that. But Zeradius, when you pick up this bag and you start handling the jacks, you get that same sort of confidence that you did when you put the reliquary on for the first time. These are important to you. You're very glad to have them back. So Circus hands you them back and is like, yeah, you might need to test the ball out, but you seemed happy that I was gonna be able to find more of these. So yeah, Do I have anything else? No, I think we're ready to go. If you guys are, I'll just pack up my things and we'll head out.
I mean, sure. Yeah. No.
Any other non-biographical questions before we go? Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. He does have one. All right. So I know that you might not know this, but I used to cast spells.
Yeah, all the time.
Do, that's good. Do you remember any of the spells that I used to cast? Because I certainly know I can do this, and I don't know, make more of those weird berries that I made out of my hand.
Sure.
And I also can uh, uh, just turn to the cat again with the fistful of berries and say, need to talk to you pretty soon, probably. And just try it with the blue jay again.
With the blue jay?
Like or like some
or the bee. Okay, so yeah, you which one? This one. There you go. So yeah, you feel that sort of familiarity and you cast and you're able to speak with an animal, namely
good.
Newt. And Newt is just eating the fish, and you just hear him commenting on the different notes in it, and like getting really excited that he got around the bone to get like the eyeballs really good. You just keep hearing, that is the best part of this entire thing.
I now regret casting this spell,
Mhm.
but
Okay, but at hearing Newt glances up from his fish.
But no, not you.
Yes, I'm
no, go back to
busy.
eating. You're fine. I know. I'm talking to somebody else here.
Okay.
Please, just bear with me, please.
Sure. You hear this for the next 10 minutes
And again, Newt
in the background.
And Newt, as far as I understand it, is just speaking to me. Nobody else. I look like I'm just talking at a cat.
Correct.
I'll whip right back to Circus and say, is there like anything else that I might be able to do that you know that I don't know that I used to know?
I mean, I guess you probably need to rest a little bit. There's only so much you can do in a given day, but without you expending your energy too much while we're out, let me think what some of the things you could do. Well, you were really good at I mean, I already said you're really good at like foraging and stuff, but you seem to know like really accurately where plants and animals were. Like you could find them really easily if you knew what you were looking for. That was always really impressive to me. Um, and man, you could do all sorts of really intimidating things. Like I once saw you like call down the light of the moon to just like like hurt things. It was really amazing. Um, and you seem to have some sort of control over like the cold in the air, and like you can make spikes and vines grow out of the ground. That's really cool. You were always someone who very much liked to trap things to keep them from hurting other people.
Okay, yeah, no, that sounds maybe about sort of right. Okay, yeah, no, food and then finding elf or assistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Circus just glances, I guess, and proceeds to kind of tell Zeratius and Pebble a little bit about themselves too, mentioning to Pebble that you could conjure a sword, and you have I didn't actually have her character sheet here. I mean, you did a lot more of kind of fluttering around battlefields and stuff, you were really fast, and it was almost like you could just disappear and reappear again in different places, and just disappear when you wanted to, and yeah, you were just really good at all of that. Your sword fighting was really amazing, but yeah, you did a lot of that, and Zeradius gets what one would think. There's the ability to heal and things like that, but had a lot of abilities that seemed to be more about uh, like tricking people. Like you could make yourself look like something different, and you could uh, um, tell when other people were doing weird things. You could sense when other people were throwing magic around. You could make it really hard to like see you and hit you, and you could like hide in walls and all sorts of cool stuff like that, where you were very like all over the place and it's hard to pin you down. Um, so she gives you a little bit of a flavor of the kinds of warriors that you are.
Fun.
But she's like, we really do have to get going, though. I don't have all your I don't have all your
Don't.
abilities memorized or in front of me or anything in like sheets, so I can't really like tell you
No, that's
what
fair.
you're
That would be
dealing with.
extremely creepy if somebody did that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, that's insane. Especially if we were somehow, I don't know, like randomly generated, like by chance or something like that. That'd just be really, really, just existentially terrifying.
Yeah, yeah. Um so yeah, we just need to pack our stuff. And Circus goes about packing provisions for your trip. She goes and grabs, some rations from her pantry and things like that. Um, she she packs up a little bag for Newt to make sure that Newt has some food put to the side, and she grabs a um, a rolled up map that when she unfurls it, seems to match a couple of the pages in that atlas that you were looking at before, Tarman. So it seems to be a regional map. And she is kind of marking in like a charcoal, like a really light charcoal, where she thinks Eldracineve is and how to get through there. So she's pointing it out. She's like, okay, so this is where her summer home is supposed to be this month. And we have to go through this forest here. And we have to just be careful that we stick together. There are roving mists in the forest. So we need to make sure we don't lose track of each other.
Okay, summer home, so it's not winter. Good. Um, roaming mists. Uh, what happens if worst comes to worst, let's say, uh, somebody were to get separated and maybe wander into the mists a little bit from the rest of the group?
Well, the mists are how you get separated. They get really thick, and they just make it hard to see things. Uh, the biggest danger you really have to worry about is the fact that there are other things in the forest, and if you get separated, there are fewer of you to protect yourself from the other things in the forest. And you might lose track of where you're going, so you just want to be careful about that sort of thing. It's a more natural phenomena than magic. It's just a pain in the butt, and it makes it real easy to get picked off if there's like a tiger or something.
So this wasn't anything to do with the lich that we were supposed to be actually like going against, right?
At the mentioning of the lich, Circus gets a little pale. No, it didn't have anything to do with the lich. Um, there could be things out there to be careful of. I don't know what it might have left out there. But we're walking parallel to the mountain, so I don't think it's gonna be. We're not gonna like walk towards it.
So the lich is in the mountain.
In a very tall, very unattainable mountain. She looks very like, we're not going to the mountain.
Okay, no, perfectly fine. I'm not saying that we need to go to the mountain. I'm just saying that, I'm giving us a little bit of a refresher course for why this was seen as a justifiable decision. That, maybe we thought maybe the mists were something to do with the lich, or, something like that. It's let's just get going.
Yeah, I agree. And Circus very swiftly rolls up the map and puts it in a sort of a holster behind her back. She has kind of a map quiver. I don't know what you would call
A
it.
scroll.
A case,
A
I think.
scroll
A scroll
case.
case. Thank you. A
Case.
scroll
There it
case.
is. A
Sorry.
quiver for
Map
maps.
quiver.
Aha!
Sorry about me
Yes.
just nipping out there. My
That's okay.
residential advisor suddenly appeared and I had to go to a kitchen meeting and I was like, oh no.
Oh, no.
I took my headphones with me so I could still hear what
Okay,
was
so you
going on.
heard
Yeah.
kind of what
Okay.
was going on. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a
So-
minute, what happened? But no.
So did you hear what could you concentrate at all on what Circus was telling Zeratius about
Yeah.
what kinds of magic he could do?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
She
But,
she does mention
forget things anyway, so I will be
okay.
asking.
She does mention while she's talking to you that your goddess and you seem to have a very close relationship. You talk to her all the time, and even when we don't hear anything, but you seem to have a very close connection. So yeah, she's packing up your stuff, and you all 3, 4, 5 of you, the 3 of you, Circus and the cat, all rather the snow leopard. Let's give him the dignity he deserves.
Mhm.
You all exit the shop, which you see. Finally, you see a little bit of the town of Utvik. As you glance back where you came from, you see that the shop is called Circus Circuitous, and she locks the door, sort of pats on it like she almost has a little pattern that she does when she leaves, kind of little habit, and you all start heading towards the outer fence line of Utvik. It seems to be a round settlement near a relatively calm body of water. Again, everything's very cold. A little bit of ice on the coastline. Some docks with a few fishing boats that have been hoisted up out of the water while they're docked there. And the town, probably 1,000 people, maybe a little more, but it's not a very large place. And you pass by some people, a few of them make eye contact with you. They seem to recognize you or just like nod. It's not unusual for you to be here by the looks of it. You do not see the Minotaur on your way out. And as you exit or rather you follow what seems to be the main road out of Utvik, just a little gravel dirt road, and it leads you past these very thick logs that have been constructed into a wall that surrounds the circumference of the town, and you head towards a dense pine forest that is ahead of you. There's a large clearing of trees along the path that have been cleared, but you're basically walking down this path that has been seems to have been tread quite frequently. It's let's see, it's probably whatever the equivalent of 11 in the morning is. It's not quite noon. Sun's not quite at the top of the horizon. or at the top of the sky, and you proceed to travel for several hours, just along this path. It's very uneventful, and occasionally something will get brought up or questioned. Circus does realize that her claim of "I can't tell you anything, that would take too long" doesn't really work when you're all on the road for an extended period of time.
On
So
foot, traveling
yeah,
together.
so plenty of little stories get shared. You gather from the way that she talks, and she does explicitly say this, that the three of you are an adventuring party. You seem to you've been together for a few years now, and Utvik is sort of your home away from home. You are, at least Tarman and Pebble are from a clan that is from the north of here. She doesn't know anything about what the nature of your relation. You guys keep it kind of on the down low. You don't like PDA is not your thing, so
Yeah,
she doesn't know much.
and not only that, but like, hey, I have a family nearby. Like, do they know anything magic? And there's no information there because we keep it so low key.
Well, okay, so Circus is the kind of person that you all have been close to for a little while. You've known her as an acquaintance for a long time, but you recently started spending a lot more time with her, especially as she doesn't like talking about it. She seems very reticent to tell you much about the whole lich situation, but that the town has become more dangerous and the region has become more dangerous. And so you've been stopping by Utvik a lot more often lately. And she can tell you, Tarman, that like as much as you like talking about the things you've learned, you seem to indicate that you're one of the more scholarly magic users in your tribe. You come from a line of like sort of nature sages, so that's kind of what your role is, and you take it very seriously. Zeradius, she seems to just you two seem a little more pally. She cracks more jokes with you. She gets a little more relaxed, especially because of how you had sort of absolved her during breakfast.
Yeah.
Somehow, maybe it means more coming from a cleric. I don't know.
Maybe. I will say at this point for flavor, Zeradius the whole
Yeah.
time he's been walking has been swinging his mace, I believe he has.
Yes, he has a mace.
Yeah, he's still swinging that. Like he's like got like a thingy on it, a little wrist thing, and like now he's figured out he can just sort of like let it go and just spin it around his arm like a Wiimote.
Like you're not supposed to do with
yeah,
a
Wiimote.
Like you would never do with
Yes,
an actual
that you
Wiimote,
would-
correct?
you would never do with the Wiimote.
It's got the same sort of feeling of danger that swinging a Wiimote does. Oh gosh, something bad might happen.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
Yeah, he's just happy because everyone's friends with Zeradius. Zeradius is wonderful. Everybody loves Zeradius.
You get that vibe too. You feel like people, especially in town when you were leaving, brightened up a little bit when they saw you. It was like, oh, that guy, oh, you kind of looks you would get sometimes. Tarman, you don't elicit much beyond. Let me finish the sentence before you laugh. You don't elicit much besides sort of a friendly respect.
Okay. I thought it was much beyond. Oh, it's this asshole again.
Okay, I'm not gonna keep making short jokes. I'm not gonna keep making like your irritable jokes. Okay, you seem to be, despite your irritability, or at least your understandable stress level right now, you seem to be a relatively liked person.
That's good to know.
So you all have this kind of weird, tentative ice breaking happening while you're walking for a few hours. Tarman, as you're walking around this pathway, the path does start getting a little thinner, a little less traveled as you take a turn on this forked path. you start feeling a bit more at ease here for some reason. Give me a sensory type that is one of the first things that really starts relaxing you when you're in what seems to be a more familiar. You're kind of in your element right now. What would really start triggering a like, oh right, this is where I'm supposed to be kind of sensation?
I think similar to when Zeratius just straight up started petting or patting the top of his head.
Mhm.
I think that sort of touch or the feel of the wind in his
Okay.
hair or the ground beneath him growing a little bit more loose and more wild, that the sort of actual tactile sensations of like, he picks up, I don't know, like a frozen flower or something like that and just sort of like palms it for a little bit and it's like, oh, right. This is good. All of this is okay in comparison. Uh,
Yeah.
so the stress level kind of dips just that little bit.
Good. Yeah,
From like an 11 to now like a 7.
that's not bad.
Eh,
That's not bad.
The minute Zeradius picks up that flower and is like palming it and looking at it, so that Tarmin's looking at it, sorry, it's Zeradius's time to annoy Tarmin. So he goes over, like just behind Tarmin, quite quietly for a Goliath. Makes a point to lean right down behind him, behind his ear and everything, and just go, "Why don't you give that to your wife?" And then wiggle his eyebrows.
That's a potential. You actually see him kind of like 404 for a little bit, uh, as he kind of like drops the flower and it's like, Circus. Quick question.
Just in the background, Zeradius goes, "Don't ignore me."
No, definitely gonna. Definitely. It is my right as a person who does not remember literally anything before this morning. Circus.
Yeah.
I understand, good intentions and all that. Why?
She kind of is waiting for the butt here.
No buts, no nothing like that. But, well, technically, why? Was it just you trying to be going the extra mile and being extra friendly and making sure that, we didn't do anything that was out of our depth? Or
What do you mean? You mean like why the spell?
Yeah, well, you know a lot about us, obviously.
Zeradius just very loudly goes, "He's asking why you care."
Oh,
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't want to put it so bluntly, but yeah, I guess.
well, you've all been tremendously kind to us, and yeah, the lich is beyond terrifying, and it's done horrifying things, and this idea that you all wanted to, rush off and save the day, usually that works, and it just didn't feel like that this time. I didn't want you to suffer or worse. It just seemed like the only thing I could do. And I know now that it was dumb and I shouldn't have, and I should have just kept trying to talk and get you to not go. And that was a mistake. And I'm so sorry, Tarmin. I really am. I've been, mentally kicking myself in the butt since I got back. But I'm trying. I'm gonna try to fix this and give you guys what you deserve, which was a choice, which I took from you. So I'm sorry.
I think kind of that's a point where it goes from a 7 down to like maybe a 4, and Tarmin kind of stops and like probably subconsciously starts leaning towards Pebble, like not like consciously like angling himself, but
As you're walking, just kind of instinctively
Yeah, just kind of,
stepping a little closer.
yeah. And he
Yeah.
looks to Circus and is like, sure, I guess. A lot of people do a lot of stupid stuff for their friends. Just,
Won't happen again.
no, I'm definitely sure of that. This is a learning experience for everybody. But just, you know, um, I, don't kick yourself too hard, okay? Just help us get to the point where we can maybe remember. And I think that'll be half the battle.
More than half, I'm sure. She
Probably.
perks up a little bit. Yeah. No, that's yeah. She gets a little self-conscious, but she seems to have relaxed a little around you, specifically Tarman. She seems like she's been anticipating every time you've gotten a little flustered by this, because understandably, you and Pebble both expressing what a violation this was. Even if you don't know much about yourselves, you still instinctively felt that betrayal feeling. It just didn't feel like something that a friend would do. And so she's been, you can tell she's been internalizing that the whole time. She knows that what she did was bad.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I probably was as anxious back then as I am now. Maybe this whole sort of, uh, look, just, I'm, I don't know if this is going to work, but, and he's going to hold out his hand and try to make like a peace lily or like some sort of like olive branch, like some kind of something that's like, hey, sorry, let's make amends and keep going forward.
Extending a literal olive branch.
Like literally, because I'm assuming that's the only cultural touchstone that he's got. Like, because he doesn't remember anything about his clan. Like, we might use fucking Nightshade for this sort of stuff. I don't know.
You
Deadly Nightshade.
Yeah,
you try.
yeah,
It's an irony thing. It's fine.
yeah.
The final piece. So you think about this idea of like, okay, what can I do? I can do nature stuff, right? I want to try to make this appear, and nothing really appears in your hand as you're trying to do it, but you do see a little bit in your wake as you're walking through the snow as as you're crunching through it. These little bulbs, there's maybe a handful of them, peek up from the snow and just unfurl in this like beautiful little blue flower. So something that already existed reacted to what you were trying to do.
So I was meant to, that was supposed to come from my hand, and it was supposed to be for. Let's just keep walking.
And then as Serradius walks past to get his mace, it just smacks one of the flowers, and he just like looks like, oh crap, and then puts his mace
The
on.
petals go flying. Petals and snow go flying. You like get a big chunk of like just snow scatters. You guys keep walking. Circus hesitates a little bit and shuffles back to where those flowers were, and she picks one up and she plucks one and puts it in her pocket, like where it's sort of sticking out. So you all walk for half a day, probably. It's getting a little more rougher terrain. Originally, you seem to be on some sort of travel, some sort of mercantile path that carts would go down or horses would go down, and now you're definitely in more of a footpath. And it's just one of the deviations from the main road. You see ahead of you, before you make that turn, you see a mountain pass. And it's, what you would imagine in an Arctic mountain pass. It's covered in snow, very, very tall. And across the mountain path, you've seen it the whole time you've been walking, but you're kind of at this more clearing space, and you see a black plume, very thick plume, almost like a thunderstorm, but very concentrated above one of the mountains. As you take that fork, you turn to walk parallel with the mountain ranges in the distance. And so you're decidedly moving away from that very disconcerting, stormy mountain. And you're walking away from it. Circus doesn't make eye contact with it. She's been avoiding looking at it this whole time, and she turns.
Tarman makes direct eye contact with it, just sort of
It's just disturbing. It's I mean, you know intrinsically that storms are very common at mountain ridges is the word I was looking for. Just that air tends to accumulate, you get a lot of impact there, and so there's a lot of storms. This one doesn't seem to be moving, and it's just sort of hanging there, and you think you've seen volcanoes maybe have things like that, but it's hard to tell from here what's going on at that particular peak that could be causing such a tumultuous storm. So it is starting to get dark. Again, mountains, sun sets early on a mountain range, especially when the horizon, when the sun dips behind mountains. It doesn't take very long for it to start getting dark in the shadow. So it feels very much like it is time to consider setting up camp. It's only gonna get colder. You're not gonna get much further in the darkness. So Circus weirdly looks to you, Tarman. Like, oh, okay, I guess we should start setting up camp then. And she glances at you to defer. Do you have where do you think we might want to put this stuff up? And you all have packed like tent gear and stuff.
Just mouth agape, just kind of.
Shoot, I'm sorry. That's right.
No. Just give me a second. I'm sure that I can figure something out. Probably. If I don't, then just he's gonna stop, take stock, and look around, see what might be familiar or good.
Give me a survival check.
Great. That's a 10.
All right, so a 16. That's not bad.
What? Yeah.
So you glance around. Your the snow is crunching beneath your feet. It is very quiet. It's beautiful. You really start to enjoy. You have really started to enjoy the walk, despite some of the tenseness or the giant doom mountain, that sort of thing. The nature itself is very lovely. And you are glancing around, trying to think about, all right, what would make a good camp? We need it to be relatively dry because we don't want to get wet while we're sleeping. Snow's going to make that a little hard. So we have mattresses, or we have like pads. We have sleeping pads. We could probably risk sleeping on some rock, but what's more important, back comfort or staying dry? You decide that the staying dry is probably more important right now than a little bit of discomfort sleeping. And you find some space at the base of the sort of where the land starts getting a little rockier in anticipation for the mountains to start, the elevation to start climbing. So you find this little ridge. It's not very high. It's not overlooking anything. It's just in the middle of what would normally be trees and grass and stuff. And you say, okay, this is flat enough. This seems decent. We've got good view around us. So it feels safer to be a little elevated and to be able to look down at the sort of very very shallow hills that are dotting around this area of the footpath.
Here. Yes. I have made my decision. Probably. Maybe the best place.
Okay. Yeah, Circus has no doubts. She trusts you.
Tarman has many doubts.
So Circus sets you guys up like, okay, so we're just say here, y'all have your, you know, your tents. So let's just get going. And you guys start putting up your tents and such. Can I get from both of you can I get a strength check from both of you? As you're kind of hauling stuff and putting the tents require a little bit of finagling and
A strength check, you say?
yes, please.
That is an 8.
Okay, so
that's an 18.
Okay, so Tarman got an 8. So with your 5, you have a lot of trouble picking anything up in this equipment. You do notice that like everyone was taking pieces, like as Circus was passing around equipment, she weirdly wasn't giving you a lot of the heavier stuff. She was kind of spreading it out amongst the other people. And you just thought, oh, well, she knows what she's doing. Maybe she forgot to give me something. Now you maybe realize that she understood instinctively that you're not the strongest folk. So yeah, Zeradius, you rolled an 18. If you're 22, you were fine. you basically, as you saw Tarman struggling to try to like put two of these larger sticks together, you like come over from behind him and like put them together for him, and so you are probably the primary. Tarman is more of the supervisor. and you are implementing the setting up of
the role we've told him we've given him.
Yeah. Why don't you just teach Zeradius how to do it? That'd probably be better.
Yeah, no, totally meant to do that. Just checking.
That's been done like Zeradius will like put his big hand on top of Tarman's head and like pat it and then give it a ruffle so it messes all of his hair up before walking away.
Tarman is gonna watch Pebble with this strength check and see like if maybe it was the fact that it was like, oh, I'm the supervisor. I get it now. I'm fine.
Let me see.
Rolls like crap.
I'll roll for her. She's fine.
Of course. Yeah, no. I was just...
She's good. She actually seems to be holding up a little... I mean, she needs a little help, but she gets it done. She's fine. She seems like a very capable person, especially when it comes to setting up the knotting for the tents and stuff. She seems incredibly competent at, like, she doesn't even think about it. She's just going... And it's very, very secure tying. She's just doing, like, she's going tent to tent doing that. So yeah, you guys are all set up with individual tents. Circus did have some forethought and provided a space for each of you, rather than any expectations of sharing space. So what would you all like to do in terms of watch for the evening? She's suggesting that you do like 2 at a time in a like just so that no one's by themselves and
I'll do first watch. I don't mind.
Okay.
And keeping in theme with the no expectations and whatnot, I'll take first watch with Zeradius because I think there's still that sense of like, okay, if this means, oh boy, we have got this is a conversation to have when we remember what's happened. This is not something to broach right now. This is probably the worst subject to broach right now. So yeah.
So yeah, okay. So you both settle in. You can tell that sudden shift in temperature that happens when it's just dark enough for the real cold to set in. So you're both, wrapped up in what you're wearing. Zeradius, you've got your giant ass coat with infinite pockets, even though it doesn't seem to be magic in any way. It just has a ton of pockets and a lot of square footage of fabric. And Tarman, you've got your furs. You have similar. You realize that you and Pebble might have some similar stuff, like furs and things. So maybe that's clan wear. Who knows? I don't know. And so you both take first watch. Pebble's been chatty where she can be, but there's a lot to absorb right now, and she's just like, all right, going to bed. And so Pebble just kind of waves the two of you off and goes to sleep. Throughout your walk, she'd been swinging and disappearing and reappearing her sword because she'd just been like, this is cool. And that's been basically how she's been spending the day. So both of you give me perception checks as the evening gets darker and you're both trying to keep awareness.
15.
Okay.
Oh no. So that's that, and I think I might actually have my perception check. Yes, I do. That's an 8 total.
8 total. Okay. Zeratius, with you said 15. You got an 18 total. So Tarman, there's a lot in your brain right now. You're trying to be mindful of what's going on, but your maybe wife is sleeping 20 feet, less than 20 feet away from you. You're still coming to grips with the fact that everything around you is familiar, yet you don't know why. Like, you're wondering if there's stories here. There's, if you remember things eventually, maybe there'll be moments where you're like, oh yeah, I was totally here that other day and I did XYZ here. Zeratius, you're not as plagued by all these what if scenarios. You seem to be taking quite a bit of this in stride. It's just a difficulty. It is something you're going to overcome and it will be fine. Circus will prevail. And so you're doing a much better job of focusing. And so same as it was during the day, it's very quiet. Just kind of a different quiet, though. You get the sense of a shifting of the guard has happened from day to night in terms of what wildlife are around, and it's eerie how still everything gets while you're sitting here. Like, even just the smallest little rock tumbling off the side of the ridge makes you kind of glance over, but then there's nothing there. Circus talking about that there might be things about makes you wary that there could be something watching, there could be something waiting. You're kind of itching to use that mace in a more practical way. The night goes by and nothing out. I can't say out of the ordinary. You're not sure what the ordinary is, to be honest. But nothing out of sorts happens that you have to wake anybody up for. You switch about. It almost seems like, how could it get darker? But it gets darker as the night goes on, and eventually you kind of crawl over to Circus's tent and to Pebble's tent and kind of give them that little like knock or shake the tent or like whisper to wake them up, and you switch watches.
Zeratius will give Tarman a clap on like the back or the shoulder before they go to sleep and be like, "It's fine. I'm sure you won't wake up and be eaten by a bear," and goes to sleep.
Why
Says
would you
it really
say that?
cheerily and then just goes to sleep, like nothing wrong was ever said.
Why would you?
What terrible implication.
What kind of? All right, fine. Yeah, no, I'm sure that won't happen.
I love how anxious Tarman is. So easy to scare.
Perfectly fine. Really fine.
Give me a wisdom save, Tarmin.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's an 8.
Okay. So 11. That's not bad. So oh wait, wisdom save. Oh wait, hold on. That was an 8. 14. Wait, no, wait. 8.
8 plus that
14.
much is
14.
how much?
Yeah.
Okay.
14. So okay, you just have to spend a little bit of time reminding yourself, okay, so I am one with nature. I am a force to be reckoned with. If a bear comes at me, I'm gonna, I don't know, hold it in place. I don't know what I can do. I'll stick it to the ground.
Gonna run away until I can figure out what exactly
I'm gonna talk to it and give it a stern talking to. That's what I'll do. You run a few
berries if I want.
As usual, you run a few scenarios in your mind about what you're going to do to handle this circumstance that Zeratius has so graciously stuck in your head. But eventually, you manage to get to sleep.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that Zeratius' snoring sounds like a bear growling.
When it starts, that little flash, that little flicker of nervousness does come back. But you reassess, you reevaluate how you would handle a bear coming into your tent, and you were able to slowly calm yourself down enough to go back to sleep. Sleep is a little hard for you, Tarmin, just because of how cold it is. Zeratius, as evident by your snoring, you don't have any problem. You're at home in the mountains. You don't feel much of the cold. Never bothered you. No, I shouldn't make frozen jokes. Never mind. I'm gonna take a moment to.
I mean, the second trailer came out. It's got to hit that SEO.
Yeah, right. Maybe I should put it in our tags. But so you both drift asleep. It's cold. It's just you gotta love that, nothing's really gonna change. It's always gonna be cold, but it feels like it repeats. It's worth repeating sometimes. Give me initiative. I just want to figure out which one of you wakes up first.
Oh, great.
I just want to figure out which one of you wakes up first.
9. A what?
19.
Okay, so Zeratius. What did you get, Tarmin?
A 9.
9. Okay, so no. All right, so Zeratius, you got a 17 total. Tarmin, you got 12 total. So Zeratius, you, much in the way that you went to sleep quite soundly and quite swiftly, you also woke up quite soundly and quite swiftly. Just like, and your tent is full of fog. You can barely see like the inside of your tent right now. It's weirdly a little warm, like almost like the moisture in the air is imparting a little more warmth than it would if it was just dry cold. But yeah, it's obscured. Your vision is obscured here inside, which you don't know if that's natural or normal for this area, but that's currently what's happening.
Like it's coming from outside.
Yes, these are not airtight tents. Okay. So yeah, it's there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll open the tent up. Just open the doors to let it out.
Letting it out isn't really a thing that happens because it is everywhere. You can see maybe 2 to 3 feet in front of your face right now.
Yeah. Do I roughly remember where Tarmin's tent is?
Yeah, you guys were like in a little like half circle.
Okay.
You can see the tent. You can see the next tent over.
Yeah. Then I'm gonna go over to Tarmin's tent. And I'm gonna place my hands over it. And then I'm gonna shake it and shout bear.
Tarmin, you hear bear!
And it's like in a genuine panicked voice.
Give me a deception check.
Can I
Give me a
roll
deception check.
insight,
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
please?
Nat 20.
Another 9.
20 for bear.
Your nat 20 gives you a 21. And Tarman, what the fuck? Like, you have never, I mean, in the 72 hours that you have known Zeratius, you have never heard him that scared.
Oh God! I'm going to try and I shoot up awake and cast the most I don't know what energies I've got at my disposal, but whatever they're at, I'm assuming there's a fucking bear right there. So I'm going to literally slam down the most powerful spell that I've got, like a few feet outside of the tent.
Okay. You're freaking out and your instincts just kick in to protect yourself, and you are you just seem to reach up as if you're trying to haul yourself up, but you are just grasping onto the very element of the air and moisture in the air. And with a very quick, from the top of your head slamming down onto the ground, you just feel this whoosh of powerful wind and sleet and ice just spin from where you're standing. And it gets harder to see. You realize when you woke up you couldn't see very well, that there was a mist or a fog in front of you. But
now it's even worse.
It gets oppressively difficult to see and way colder. And I need a dex save from Zeratius as the very ground beneath you just becomes slick ice.
Okay.
As far as you can see.
I just imagine an airbender sort of thing, jumping in the air suddenly with wind spewing out. God.
All right, so with your 15 dex save, you feel the slickness underneath you on the ground, and you kind of go whoa, 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 and then you spread your feet out and you kind of get your balance. You almost slipped and fell on your butt, but you managed to hold on to your balance. I will say that the tent that Tarman was in has been completely blown off the sticks. The fabric is gone. It just goes out to fuck knows where. And yeah, so Tarman, you conjured some sort of sleet storm, and it just completely knocked over a bunch of the tents, and everywhere around you is slick ice.
Yeah, and there's just Zeratius and his furs, his feet spread, and he's laughing, and he just goes, "Morning, Tarman."
You see Zeratius's feet slowly spread, and his hands go down to try to keep him up.
And Zeratius is laughing at him the whole time.
You cannot have been this insufferable when I knew you. It's impossible.
Something inside you, Tarman, tells you it could be true. He could have been this insufferable. This rage feels familiar.
Just keep that locked right at the back of my head, and just as soon as I see the frozen tents on the other side, oh God, Circus, I am very, very sorry. Wait, Pebble, just slide across.
You rush to her. Give me a dex save.
Oh God.
Tarman, have you frozen your wife? Has she become an ice pup?
Not talking to you.
An ice pebble.
An ice pebble.
15 for the dex save.
All right, with your 18, you're able to shockingly, deftly cross the ice. This seems like something you are very familiar with how to do. You just don't have much trouble with natural Arctic terrain. So yeah, you use you use what you remember as like, okay, this is how penguins walk on ice, and you look like you're walking really dumb, like your feet are in a really weird position. Zeradius, it looks hilarious, but he's
Zeradius
not
is still
falling
bored.
over. But he's not falling over. He is successfully traversing the ice despite this ridiculous look he's doing.
Hang on. I'll be right there.
I'm coming. Hold on.
Give me a second.
So you,
I'm working on
so
it.
you, all right. So you manage to traverse this slick ice that you've created on the ground, and you head to Pebble's tent, and the fabric's gone. Her equipment is not there, and she is not there.
Circus?
You do not hear a response, and it is quiet.
No. You did not leave me here with. No. Just refusing to accept reality and just go back to his own tent and try to get everything together and forget the tent. The tent's fucked and just trying to get back to the road.
Okay, it is very, very hard to see right now. Like I said, you can only see about 2 to 3 feet in front of you. And you were a little ways off from the path. Like you had wandered a little further from the path when you had to find a good spot, and everything was just crunch and ice and snow. So you were a little ways away. Give me a survival check to find your way back the way you came.
13 total.
Okay. 13 total. Okay.
13 total.
Whew. So you the fog as you walk. Zeradius, are you going with him?
Yeah, like as soon as I see like he's gone to storm off, like Zeradius is like, oh, I should probably go after him. He's only small, and he's scared of bears.
And he can't lift a tent piece. What is he gonna do out there? So all right, so Zeradius, you hear Zeradius crunching behind you, and as you leave the campsite space and start heading, you're like, okay, wait. So we were at the campsite. I was at this angle leaving. It should be over that way. So you start heading in. You're like 80% sure this is the way to go. And so you start walking that direction, waiting for the path to just appear in front of you, hopefully. And a couple minutes pass, and you keep walking, and you find the path. Okay. All right. So you find your footpath where you initially were. What do you do?
Big friend.
Yes, small friend.
Asking for that.
Okay. Look. You can see me, right? This isn't a magic fog, right? And you can hear me, obviously. Yes? Okay. So the Lich probably doesn't have anything to do with this. Oh, that's right. Circus said this was a natural phenomenon. Man, nature sucks sometimes. And just head off in the direction that he thinks they were going toward. Which was the direction that was not the one that came from?
Continuing the way you were headed.
Actually, he's going to check the road just real quick. Like, just take a good gander. Like an investigation to see.
Sure. Go ahead and roll investigation.
Or survival, whichever. Like,
what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to track down my friends to see if they stuck to the path or if they're
not. Survival, please, to see if you find any tracks.
Oh, that was cocked. So, okay. Oh, that was worse. 9.
Survival. That's 9 total. Or...
9 total. Because it was a 3 plus a 6.
Poor Jason.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, you are able to take a look. You crouch down a little bit. You're looking through. You stand back up a little bit. It's hard to do that like macro view that you can do on a flat surface like a dirt path. Usually you can stand up and kind of gaze out and see the less of the detail but more of the picture, so if somebody's left path with their footprints you can see it, but it is nearly impossible to see that. But as you are getting closer to the path, you see a little bit of kick up and a little bit of impression on the ground that looks like it could have been footprints, but it's hard to tell. But it looks
Baron?
like feet going the way you were looking to go.
Fair enough. Let's go. Is there any way he can leave a message behind? Like,
You can scratch something in the ground.
Sure. He's gonna scratch in the ground. We went this way. Sorry, circus.
Okay.
And just point in the direction of the impressions.
Sure. All right. So you, Zeratius, do you just follow Tarman's lead on tracking, or do you have any input in the proceedings?
After Tarman writes that, and just as he's like, starting to walk away, Zeradius will just write next to it, like, Tarman is also afraid of bears.
Mm-hmm.
So, just so Circus knows that very important information that Zeradius has discovered.
Alrighty. So you start walking.
Mean. Just mean.
So Tarman's leading the way, very intent on his heading for the path as you were headed for. I don't know what that sentence was. You were heading forward the way you were going, and that fog just doesn't let up. You barely see the trees next to the path with how thick this fog is, and like I said, it's not as cold as it was before. It's almost like it's insulating you a little bit from what would be the far more oppressive cold. So, saving grace, or silver lining there. So you guys are walking through. How long of a walk? Do you keep walking until you find something, or is there a point where you're like, okay, maybe we need to reassess what we're doing? Because you're making headway on the trail, but like 20 minutes pass and you don't hear anything. Half an hour passes.
Just depending on Tarman, because tracking isn't really Zeradius's thing.
Sure.
After about 30 minutes, Tarman is gonna stop, and I'm gonna look around and. Okay. I don't know if you're being. No, you're probably not being funny. Really should have investigated that campsite. Circus? Pebble? Anyone?
You don't hear a response.
No one. Great. Fantastic.
Do you keep going? There are still footprints on the path.
Do they look like pebbles or circuses?
They're humanoid.
Great.
Reasonable average size. I mean, sure. I mean, it's hard to tell, but like maybe one of them was barefoot, which is Pebble's MO.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention she was barefoot last time.
Oh, she's
now you know.
She's barefoot. Oh, good. Oh no, I'm afraid of bears. Never mind.
Bare feet, not bears, just bare feet.
Not bears. Just. Oh wait, she has bare feet. Oh no.
This isn't gonna work. It's not gonna laugh.
All right, fine. Just keep following the fucking. No, leave another message. Okay, still on the path, Circus and Pebble. Hope you're reading this. We're going this way. An arrow and just run.
Okay.
Afraid of bears, and then carry on.
Run, you said.
I would.
You increase your pace.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. No, not to the extent to where I was out of immediate sight of.
Sure,
of,
but you're encouraging the two of you to go faster.
Pick up the pace.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you keep going
In case,
forward.
then I'm gonna try and grab Tarmin by the back of like the scruff of his clothes and sort of just lift him onto like one big shoulder because we make more time.
Like over the shoulder with his
yeah.
like head facing that way.
Not so
or-
much. Just so that he's sat on my shoulder.
Okay, so
What?
you're getting thrown up into like.
I can
Like-
walk. I can.
Yeah,
can perfect.
But
my
like every one stride of mine is like equal to 5 of yours, Tarmin. You are very
Tarmin,
small.
You do get that sense of as Zeradius is picking up pace. Oh, this is a little faster.
All right, fine. Nope, I'm not.
And
gonna
you
question-
also get to see what the world is like from my point of view.
I do not appreciate that or the bear thing. That I probably wasted a really, really powerful spell that might be useful at a critical moment. I hope you recognize this.
You're afraid of bears.
Oh, come on. And just run.
All right, so you guys are hustling. Time passes again. As you're running, Tarmin, I need you to give me a perception check because he's running faster than you were before. So, do you still see the tracks as you're running? Is my
That'll
question.
be a 12.
12.
Help
Okay,
in any way, like also by keeping an eye out?
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a
Can I do that at advantage? Or no, actually, no.
No.
Go. Zeradius.
No. You guys are making separate perception checks.
Yeah.
Good, because that was a 19.
Okay, that's
All right.
fair.
22 for Zeradius. All right, so Zeradius, you are used to running this fast. It's fine. And because you can only see 2 to 3 feet in front of you, looking down is quite easy. So you are shuffling quicker and quicker. And there is a point in which the footsteps that you realize the Tarmin was following make a sudden shift off the path. And they kind of stop abruptly. Do you stop when you see them moving off the trail? Or do you keep following the trail?
Yeah, and point them out to Tarmin.
Oh. Okay. So they're off the trail, like solidly.
Mm-hmm.
Write another message in the ground. Okay. Hope that this is y'all, but just in case, gonna follow these tracks. An arrow pointing to the tracks.
Okay. So you both see that these tracks are veering off the path, and you decide to go the direction that the path footprints have deviated. And as you are walking along, that fog has, again, not let up. You can't see very well. And you follow there's like snow prints a little more shuffled around. It's hard to follow. It kind of just looks like there has been foot traffic here a little bit. And as you're passing through, you trying to follow this sort of crunched up snow. There's a tree in front of you that has fallen in the path. It's probably about as wide as you are, Tarmin. It's a pretty big tree that has been knocked over. You could climb over it. You could go around it. It's not that big of an obstacle. It's just kind of looks like it's been cracked at the base and shoved over.
Oh.
Yeah. Probably check around the base. See what if we
Give
can.
me investigation
research.
checks.
Okay.
New skill for some people.
18 for me.
All right. Tarmin, you have a 17 total. Zeradius, what was yours? 14, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have a 14 flat. So you total 14. So you're looking around, you're glancing. Oh, Jason's gonna miss it. You're looking through the tree where it's been cracked, and you see that there are claw marks down the log of the tree, down the trunk, and stuck
Mm.
in this sort of crushed, clawed at breakage in the trunk. You see very large, very, very pale feathers. So you see very deep claw marks and very large white feathers, kind of stuck in a little bit or like off on the ground, one or two of them in the actual like crevice left from the broken tree. And when I say large, I mean the size of your forearm size
Um,
feathers.
I'll take.
Feathers?
Oh yeah, I'll take some of those feathers and hold them up. Well, hold them out to Tarmin. And see what he makes of them. Can you tell what kind of creature it comes from?
I'm gonna guess a very, very pissed off bird. just look at
You
it
don't even need to
really
roll for
intently.
that. No, give me a nature check. Give me a nature check with advantage.
Okay, so that was that 16. Plus nature is I don't know. I don't know.
How is that possible? That can't be true. Hold on. Oh, poor you. But so what was it? What was the best roll?
16.
16. So you have a 15. I hate that nature's whatever. Not
Anyway.
gonna get pissed at the stats. So you have your book and you're like, hold on. And you're flipping through your book as you're looking at this feather. And you find a very similar, noted as being this sort of very snowy white, founded in trees that have been clawed at, and it has note of this idea of owlbears using scratching posts. So that's sort of the implication you get here, is that there's some sort of polar owlbear that has been goofing off with that tree. You glance around as you make this revelation, and the snow does seem to have been kicked up a lot.
Oh, good. Okay. New new information, Zeradius. Just to let you know, it's not bears I'm afraid of. You're half right. Let's just. I'm gonna look at the other side of the tree and see if the tracks follow it, or like go through it, or if like if worst comes to worst, Circus and Pebble have been crushed by this very good tree.
You look around and there does not seem to be much of like there's no bodies under the tree.
Okay.
You're fine. But you do see some like streak marks, like something crawled away from where the tree fell. No blood or anything, nothing like that. And you do hear a slight moan in the near distance through the fog, like a pain kind of noise.
Zeradius will
Humanoid?
lower his voice. It's still like deep, his voice is, as he just whispers, "Has your wife been eaten by half bear?"
Owl bear? Also, we
You only
don't
said to me that
actually
you
know
were
if
fed
she's
up
my
half
wife.
of a bear.
Well, yes, but I mean, like half bear, half owl.
Didn't
And we don't know
specify. It's like
Look,
getting in an argument.
we could be vastly overestimating our relationship. I mean, I don't know whether or not look, just because I may have these marks, that doesn't necessarily. Somebody's in pain. Let's just.
Yes, someone's in pain. Maybe it's your wife.
Would you? I'm not engaging. I can't psychologically handle this right now.
I'm
just going
betting
to continue
5 gold pieces.
You,
Oh, wait. You gave him 5. Wait, you show
I'm
off the 5 gold
betting.
pieces and what?
I'm betting 5 gold pieces that she's your wife.
Oh, I thought you meant that she'd been eaten. I'm like, I'm
Ew.
telling Rachel you bet on her death.
Doubled if she's been eaten, Tarmin.
you know what? Yeah, sure. That just seems fine enough. Yeah, fine. Fuck it. 5 gold pieces. He holds out his hand.
Zeradius, in the back of your head, you hear that giggle. that little girl giggle.
Go on, come on.
But only after Tarmin takes the bet. Not the
Shake.
initial bet, but the response to the bet is what causes the giggling.
Yeah.
Shake on it and let's go save somebody before they, I don't know, bleed out or something.
He basically grasps like your hand and half of your wrist in his hand and shakes it,
Ow,
and
ow,
then
ow, ow.
before you can move away, like lifts you up, puts you back on his shoulder again, and says, "You will stay up here where half bear can't eat you."
It's an owl bear, a polar owl. Never mind.
Half a bear, and it's half of an owl. It's a half bear. Let's go.
This can't.
Let's go find your hopefully not eaten wife.
Just go. Just continue.
All right.
Follow the moaning.
All right. So you follow the sound. Do you call out or anything, or do you just follow? Because it happens like every few seconds. You hear like a.
Coming. Perfectly fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, like Zerodius have been quiet in case, there is an animal prowling around, and now Tarmin's just yelled.
Look, we hear you. We just can't see you because this fog sucks.
All right, so you hustle ahead. You hear the groaning. It gets a little louder as you get closer. You're hearing you find a little bit of torn fabric as you follow the noise and the streak of snow, like something was crawling. And the fabric's just like a piece of. Or do you pick it up or anything? It's just in the snow.
I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up. Yeah.
Zeradius, you see it is a piece of what looks like maybe like a leather coat. Like you don't recognize it.
Okay.
Just like maybe part of a sleeve or something. So you keep going and you see in the distance a figure struggling to stand in that streak, trying to like basically crawl away from where that tree was. And they're slowly but shakily getting up to a stand, and they have an axe in their hand. But they're just like trying to stay standing and continue walking in that direction away from you. Slowly.
Well, out
Just a
quietly,
sigh,
just like a sort of, like a hey.
Hail and well met, traveler. I'm gonna jump off of Zeradius' shoulder.
You just go into the snow.
Oh, did not think about that.
Like there's videos of people who like throw their little dogs and they go into the snow.
Yeah, like
you see a chin, like just from the chin up. No, you're fine. You get up. But as you call out to this figure, it stops and it just glances slightly to the side, and then with this sort of unnatural jerking, it turns to you.
Okay, I made a mistake. Let's go. Just gonna go back to
As soon as
Zeradius.
but say as soon as it like starts making jerky noise, it's like Zeradius is there in 2 strides and grabs Tarmin.
Yeah,
and physically pulls him away.
I would like you both to roll initiative, please.
Oh,
What have we done?
11 plus, I think I got a
Oh.
+3 to initiative, so 14.
And nat 20.
Okay.
Nice. Oh, you did great. You did freaking great, both of you, because it rolled a 5. Okay, so Zeratius, what do? It glances at you and it is shuffling forward. I will say, not like a zombie. It like a person with a limp. But its eyes are also glowing red.
Okay, there
Okay,
we
I'm
go.
gonna
Sorry,
say,
I
There's,
should have led with that.
there's the
Is there-
hammer drop. Like,
Well,
Is there anything specific that makes it threatening?
yeah, it takes a second for you to see that through the fog.
Yeah.
But I will obviously you can go first because you rolled that nat 20.
I'll have, like, when I was grabbing Tarmin, is basically put myself between this like monster and Tarmin. So Tarmin's like behind me.
Okay.
I've got my mace. And I don't know, am I able to any magic? Is there anything?
What is your intention? What do you generally want to do? Because I can have something instinctively
Hurt it.
happen based on what your intention is.
Okay. I just want to hurt it.
You wanna hurt it.
Not
Okay.
coming towards
It
Tarmin.
is a little ways away from you. But you want to hurt it, but you don't want to move away from where Tarmin is. You want to keep him safe. So you sort of like think, okay, I'm going to try something. And you swing your mace as if you are swinging at it, but you are obviously too far to hit it. As you do that, though, there's this coalescing of light and energy behind this figure as a sort of spectral version of your mace shows up and just bonks it in the back of the head. Let me roll just to see if it does more than just a basic thing, though. Okay. That's a 16 total from your spiritual weapon, which you realize is a thing. And yeah, it bonks it in the back of the head. And your spiritual weapon, just so you know, does 1d8 plus 3 force damage. So if you would like to roll the damage, feel free. It's just a 1d8.
That was a 7.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Tarmin. That's actually you have a little bit of time, Zeratius. You can do something else if you want. If you want to try something else, you feel like you have a second that you can slip something in. Almost an action, perhaps, or perhaps an action triggered by the fact that you rolled a nat 20. So you can do another thing if you want.
Oh, that
Okay.
works.
Stance be to protect Tarmin, so if an attack does come, then I've self between the attacker and him.
Yeah. So what you want to do, perhaps, is let me see. Oh, it doesn't work. Okay, I'm just gonna say you can put yourself in front of him and basically do like an aid action. That it will help Tarmin.
Yeah.
If he needs to do something, just like, all right, buddy, I'm right here. Like, just your very presence is something that might help Tarmin feel like he's not by himself and can do something more. I also totally forgot this whole time. Newt is with you. I totally forgot that.
Yeah, no.
You have Newt?
I just imagine, like, as soon as that thing shows up, Newt just sort of pops out of the snow and like, Where were you?
You don't notice Newt right now because there's a giant, or not giant, but a very intimidating figure walking towards you right now. You don't see Newt. It's not like in your thought right now. Right now, you're like, oh god, what is that? So what do you like to do?
I'm going to shout at it, and just real quick as a free action. Okay, are you alive? Or can you somehow intelligently respond to this question?
Okay. It continues walking forward. What did you say specifically?
Are you alive, and can you intelligently respond to this question?
It makes sort of a grumble under its breath, similar to that pained moan you heard before. And you hear it rasp out words. It says, hold on. Give me a sec. The master calls for you.
Okay, that's good enough. I remember that Circus described that I could hurl moonfire or something like that.
That is something she did vaguely describe to you, yes.
At the same
Moonfire.
at the same that's the same level as that fucking blizzard that I yeeted into existence.
Look at you cribbing the system here. So you're gonna cast Moonfire.
Moonfire, whatever.
At one level higher than normal.
Sure. I guess.
All right. So you are trying to hit it with this. You realize that you don't always need to, like, you don't have anything on you. Like, you're like, oh, damn it, how do I, like, cast this? I don't have things on me. I don't know what to use. But you do, on your person, have some sort of affectation or trinket that has natural components on it. We talked about your bag having like bones and things on it. Well, also on your clothes there's stuff, and there is a sort of a sprig of holly on your jacket. And for some reason, your instinctive move is to grab a hold of that while you are casting the spell. And you feel as though that is potentially some sort of focus that you can use instead of material components while you are casting. So
he
go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead
and
and
grabs it and basically just slams it forward, like
a wand.
Yeah, like some sort of wand, like
Expecto Patronum.
Fucking whatever.
Okay, so you reach out forward and you just visualize that idea of whatever the hell moonfire is, and from the sky it is so foggy you can't see anything, so you don't even know really what time of morning it is, and you just see this sort of flash of white pale light just slam down in this pale cylinder of light right on top of this creature, this sentient creature. And you see that moonfire might actually be a decent thing to call it. There's like this sort of ghostly fire that envelops this creature in the cylinder, and it will do a bit of damage. Would you like to roll 2d10, please?
Will do.
Sorry, 3d10, please, because you're rolling at third level.
Oh, well, that's a D8. Never mind. So that's 2 D8s. What the hell? I don't know my dice. All right, so that's that. That's that. Okay, so 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's So you watch as this ghostly fire kind of surrounds it. It almost looks like this little like cyclone of white fire. It's really badass. And the figure kind of swats at it. It was already sort of hunched forward a little bit from like getting, headbutt in the back with a freaking spectral mace. And so it's just really upset right now, and it stumbles forward and kind of tries to like shove away this fire, and that doesn't do anything. It's just flames up the side of its face, and it's unhappy. All right. And you get this sense that you feel this tug, this thread connected to the fire, that if you wanted to, you could shift this pillar with a little bit of effort. So as an action, you can shift this pillar. And yeah. All right, so you both have taken an attack stance or a protective stance, and this figure sort of huffs, its red eyes focused right on you both, grabs its fist, and it just disappears for a moment and appears 30 feet in front of you. Or rather, appears 30 feet in front of where it was. It's pretty darn close to you now. It sprints forward, and Zeratius is the biggest thing, and it will take a swing, not with the axe. It takes a swing with its fists at Zeratius. It like has the axe in its hand, but it doesn't seem like it really cares that it has the axe. All right, let me take a couple. It's gonna take a couple swings at you. And it hits you both times, sadly. It gets you in the gut, right under the ribs, and then hits you sort of in the face, kind of like it aiming for that, like you doubling over a little bit at that blow. Let me see what that does. It does. You don't know this, but it makes you want to fall to the ground. It hits you so hard. You instinctively feel as if, I don't know, maybe you have 45 of something, and it just took 22 of that away from you.
Oh no.
So as you are so very close to this creature now, you get a sense of what it actually looks like. I'm going to take one brief moment to explain what it looks like. It does not seem living. I will say that much. It is, or maybe it was, a elven-like being, male presenting, with like darker tan skin, very long black hair tied back with like some gray streaks in it. And it hits Zeratius for those two blows, and as it hits you, that burning singe that Tarman caused, and that like sort of stagger that the mace caused, it just sort of takes a breath, and some of that fire damage recedes a little bit, and it seems to straighten up a little at this, and it just eyes you. And so you are all in this little clearing. I'm going to describe a couple of things that are in this space. You have, there is another felled tree. So you have a suspicion that this is owlbear territory. There is another felled tree. This thing is within melee distance of Zeratius. It has just taken a blow to Zeratius. And you have what's on you, and Tarman, you see Newt stalking behind it, like in a pouncy kind of way, but very quiet. and just barely touching like the snow. He has snowshoes for feet practically, so it's very soft. So what I want to do is I want to move into moments. I would like each of you to narrate for me something, and I'm going to give you a little bit of freedom to determine if you have a particular spell or ability that you might know about your class. I would like 2 moments from you over the course of the next frenzied few minutes. One thing that you did very successfully, and one thing that went wrong, whether that injures you or just a mistake that will cause injury. I'd like you both to think of something and tell me what those things were. Think of it sort of like as a like describing an action scene moment. Don't feel limited to what hardcore rules as written are. If you want to do something a little more flashy, please feel free. I'd like you to get like that moment of your adrenaline is pumping and something just instinctive clicks and you are the hero you were supposed to be this whole time.
I yield the floor to Zeradius because initiative.
Okay.
Sure, if
Yep.
you would like to go first. I was going to give whoever was ready, I was going to give the opportunity.
Closest to me right now, so because it's in close range, I'll say
Mhm.
my failure is trying to swing at it with my mace.
Sure.
But as I'm doing so, um, actually like almost instinctively like praying out loud, connecting to my goddess.
Okay.
Saying stuff like, even though I don't remember you right now, like I know you haven't abandoned me, like you wouldn't abandon me. And like, for her to lend me some sort of divine or sort of power to smite this creature to protect my friend.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna hit it with anything highly magical that I feel from that prayer, feel I should do from it.
Okay. Um you uh you hear you hear the giggle again, except it's like it quietly fills the air from different directions. And you're sort of really, you yourself are in this sort of desperate moment of this thing could kill you. It already took such a hard blow and it barely, like in the grand scheme of a fight, it barely touched you and you are feeling incredibly weak right now and exhausted. And you hear this giggling and there's something kind of rejuvenating about it even in your sort of weakened state. And you see your mace, the spiritual weapon version of this mace. It kind of glides forward. And as this giggling gets a little louder and kind of turns into multiple voices, your spiritual weapon breaks into 2, and then it breaks into 3, and then it breaks into 4. And there's just this little cluster of probably 6 of these maces that all swing and just bash this thing into the ground for a moment. And yeah, you just, that giggling recedes a little bit. But you do get this sense in the back of your head. It's not words, but it's a sense of, you interpret it to sort of mean, I'm here.
Mhm.
So that is how your prayer manifests itself. You can tell that was not you that did that. That was something beyond you, but beside you.
I think as those 6 maces go in and basically pound that bastard into the ground, the failure I think will be Tarman trying to convince the Lynx to sort of join the fray, because I don't know if he really knows how to handle the animal anymore.
Sure.
And considering they're partners, one's not subservient. It's sort of like trying to get your cat to do something, which is impossible. And so, as I imagine this dude is trying to sort of get a stable footing, he's gonna jump off of Zeratius' shoulder again, and basically on the way down, like, land firm on the ground and try to just at first it just seems like he's trying to bury this person like in the ground, but I think as that panicked energy and as that sort of like adrenaline pumps through him, it's the earth that moves with him and is like, oh, by the way, you can actually like affect nature. And I almost imagine it like the first time that Doc Ock gets the arms installed and and suddenly these vines just sort of get up and it's like, oh, we can do this, and then and then plunging into that very bad lich like serpent.
Much like Doc Ock, these sort of spindly tendrils burst from the ground in this moment of just, I need this thing to stay down. And these spike growths just wrap and spindle around. You see it go around its neck and just kind of tighten, and it clamps it down to the ground. And this being, this undead creature, doesn't seem to be letting up. Like it's still in fighting spirit, despite how much you guys have been pummeling it. It is more crushed. Some of its trigger might be a little gory. Some of its skin has been ripped because it doesn't seem like it's all together really anymore. And you see Newt at one point kind of get up over the briar that you've created and like sink his teeth into the back of its neck. It seems like a very instinctive attack that this snow leopard is. The snow leopard's, he's hanging with you. He's hanging. And you've done a fairly good job of trapping this thing. What is the thing that goes wrong for Tarman?
I don't think he has much control over it. Like, this is something that he's trying to figure out. So I think it kind of starts like the earth starts moving around his leg, up his calf to his knee. Like he's sinking, but he's just not really paying much attention to it. He's just
the earth beneath the creature broke with the piercing of these spike vines coming out of the ground, and it almost seems like the earth around that creature also was getting torn up a little bit from that movement, and the vines sort of raise up beyond where this thing is, and you kind of feel this slashing as it's trying to reach for anything, these spikes. So you are going to take a little damage as well, as you just sort of don't estimate where these spikes would actually grow, and you were like within the radius without realizing it. So it's not going to be a ton of damage, but it'll be a little.
Oh, I forgot. The range on this was a 10-foot circle.
Yeah, it's gonna
ding me for...
Yeah, it's gonna ding you for like 6 points.
Okay.
It doesn't feel great, just for the record.
I'd imagine.
But so I'm gonna really quick take a moment to narrate what the creature does real quick. It also gets moments. It's going to be it's unsettling how it doesn't cease fighting back against these spikes. You'd think once you realize you were stuck in a briar, like a vicious, bigger than life briar, you'd stop when you were starting to get cut and sliced, and it doesn't. it is ceaseless in its attempt to get at either of you. And you even see every so often there was a cut and it heals a little bit. And there's a cut and it heals a little bit. So it doesn't seem like it's going to stop. It takes a look at you, Zeratius, and it looks you right in the eye, and it bores down into your soul. It's looking that angry at you. I need you to make a wisdom save.
Okay. 1 second. Let's say 15.
You feel this cold. Now, you've been in this Arctic place since you can remember. You never remembered feeling cold before. And this is just seeping down your spine, a level of fear you have never felt. And you can't move. It's so, it's just the fact of this thing and how much it seems to hate you and want to hurt you is so unsettling, even to the point where there's a glimmer in the back of your head that's like, you're not sure she could protect you from what this thing wants to do to you. And so yeah, you're paralyzed with fear for some time. Tarmin, you see that Zeratius just doesn't, like, there's opportunity for Zeratius to just beat at this thing, and he's not moving. He's almost shaking a little bit. The creature pulls up at these vines, and it has almost like a little burst of energy. Like, it kind of psychs itself back up for another attempt. And it's starting to tear at the spikes and starting to pull at the vines. It is getting out. It kind of gets an arm loose and reaches back where Newt is still like latched trying to do stuff, and like just throws Newt across the snow. Newt's a cat. Newt lands on their feet. But it's still upsetting. It had its hands on your friend, you know? And it starts rising up out of the vines at you.
As it's tangled,
Mm-hmm.
Disengage, I'm grabbing Tarmin and I'm dashing. I'm gone.
You're paralyzed with fear right now.
Can I try and overthrow it at all?
Yeah, give me a wisdom save.
1 second. 19 this time.
What was it?
19.
Okay. You are still very afraid, and justifiably so, afraid of this thing. But you do get your wits about you enough to reach over and grab Tarmin. The creature reaches out with his hand to try to grab your ankle, Zeratius, and just as it does, you hear what could only be described as some sort of horrible screech, but like in a baritone bass sort of voice. So like someone took a screech and like lowered the octave.
Yeah.
And you hear thump, 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 and all of a sudden from the side, slamming into these spikes, slamming into this creature, is a giant shock of white and giant black eyes, furious, looks like a polar bear with a snow owl head on it, and it just pounces on this creature.
And as I'm grabbing Tarmin, I get really excited by this owlbear having attacked it. So I lift both my arms in the air in a cheer, forgetting I've got Tarmin in both hands, and I'm like, yes, half bear.
Immediately, Tarmin's just not making eye contact and just trying to climb onto the shoulders of
as the creature with the red eyes is fighting the oppressive weight of this owlbear, but its eyes are still locked on you two.
Yeah,
and it is still reaching for you two.
I'm gonna disengage and start running.
As Zeratius is running back, I'm gonna pull the moonfire shaft on top of the both of them. Basically,
so
just nope. Yep, you're coming along.
And it's pulling, and this flame, almost this vortex of white flame is pulled towards it, and it covers them both. You hear you hear just of the creature, and then this hissing, screeching pain from the owlbear as well. And you are running. Seems very natural reactions, Radius. You need to get the fuck away from this thing immediately. And so in your still very visceral fear, you are carrying Tarmin, and you are just running in the other direction. You hear the screaming, you hear the sounds of that scuffle happening, and it's pretty awful. It's a very unsettling series of hateful noises. And you are just running for dear life for what could have been a few seconds, could have been a minute. It's very hard to sense how long you've been doing this. All that matters now is getting distance. And you are give me a constitution save.
Okay.
It's very cold, and you're running very hard, and you're very injured right now.
17.
Okay. You have a 19. Okay, so you just keep running. You Tarmin, you're shocked. You're there has to be at some point you maybe go, okay, we're done. You can stop. You can probably stop. And he just keeps running. So you're kind of along for the ride.
Sarah, okay, no, I know that. I really important, but just calm. It's okay. It's all right. Just stop. Maybe. It's already gone. We're fine.
Yeah, Zerati still has you thrown over his shoulder. He's like, "I will protect you, little man," and just keeps running.
No, you're doing that. That's great. You're doing great. But I think you can stop running now so that we can find our friends. As we're running off in the middle of the forest.
Yeah, there's just a point where you just don't know where you are.
Yeah.
And Zeratius, there is a limit. You do have incredible stamina, but there is a point where your legs just can't carry you, and part of that is that pain. There might be something broken inside. Let's just say that. You took some pretty let's say you took some punches to what seemed like very squishy places.
Yeah.
And so eventually, Tarmin, you just feel the pace slow, and you feel a little bit of a tip as Zeratius just sort of collapses to his knees and sits on his feet and just breathes and tries to collect after all of that strenuous and terrifying encounter. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Do I recognize where we are even a little bit?
The fog has lightened a little, so now you can see about 15 feet in front of you instead of 3, but it's trees. You don't know offhand. You sit there. You both sit there. Honestly, you're sitting there listening. Like, is it gonna come back? Where are we? Where are they? Where's Pebble and Circus? Lots of things go through your head as you're waiting there. And you're not sure what you're waiting for at that point. It's just, I need to catch my breath. I need to think. I need to be able to think. I need a moment for my brain to stop racing. And you do hear a little crunching in the near distance. You see a big figure stepping through the fog at you. And there's something, you're just too tired. You're like, okay, let's just see what happens. I can't run. And this burly form with very deep black eyes, almost a very blank expression, very round face. The owlbear, and you know it's the owlbear because it's singed. It's missing some feathers. It seems to be bleeding a little bit. There's a huge claw, like almost like a hatchet mark across its beak, and it has something in its beak, and it comes into comes into your visual range. So maybe it's like 20 feet away from you, and it drops in front of you a severed arm. And it's very dark and seems to have some leather around it, and it has a couple rings on it. It's just an arm. And the owlbear looks up at you both, sort of sniffs down at the arm. When it glances back up at you, it looks to the side, and then it looks back at you and kind of makes a gesture, and then just turns and starts very slowly walking into the fog. If you don't move, it will stop and turn to look over its shoulder and wait patiently, and it doesn't move until you act. It's just waiting for you to presumably follow it.
So we're totally taking the rings, right? That's what adventurers do, right? We
pillage.
We pillage, right?
One more time, Mustang?
Mustang, I think you're pushed to talk.
Myself on mute, sorry. Yeah, Zeradius, you're saying all of that. Zeradius is just like lying face down in the snow for a minute.
So Tarvin, you're within your rights to loot and pillage if you want to loot and pillage. The owlbear will wait for you.
Take off the rings and act like counterbalance Zeradius's big beefy form against.
Oh, give me a strength check.
No. You sure? You don't want it. You don't want it to be wisdom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
10.
So a 7. You are trying. You're like picking him up from the shoulder, and it just falls. Like you can't. You're trying. You like pull his head over. Like, come on, big guy, you gotta help me out. Come on. And you hear like a thudding beside you, and you realize the owlbear has come up next to you. This thing is like, its beak is the size of your face. And it just kind of leans a little bit down and seems to be kind of shoulder checking Zeradius very softly, offering a means of either helping him up or giving him a ride, maybe? You're getting this weird instinct of like, I think it wants to help him get up.
Speak with animals, or the way that I would try.
Yeah. You very instinctively, you're like, I'm ready to do that now.
Okay. You do that, and where are we going?
help to the Eldris.
That's a name that I recognize. Okay, just come on, set you big old beefy son. Just
The
drags
owlbear
onto
leans
the owlbear.
down and licks the side of Zeradius' face.
Zeradius makes like a groaning noise, and sort of
You kind of feel this very, very oddly familiar deja vu when the owlbear's right up next to your face and it's like exhaling out of its nostrils. And you're getting this very, very bizarre deja vu from when you woke up at the house. Like this in your face.
Zeradius like sort of grasps around the owlbear's neck and like manages to pull himself up, but he's just leaning really heavily on the owlbear.
Oh yeah, and the owlbear will take its time. So Tarman, it like looks at you like, you may ride as well. Kind of takes like a knee a little bit. If you want to try to climb it.
Sure, might as well. Just
takes a little bit of effort, but you do get up there eventually, and you just hear a, and all of a sudden Newt is just nestled on top of it, making biscuits. And if you look at him, he's like, "What? I helped," and then just starts sleeping on the owlbear. Zeradius, as you are walking forward, you that deja vu you had feels obviously deja vu feels familiar. It's like the whole point of it. But the fact that you had some deja vu, it feels like that's something you've experienced before, and something about it makes you remember something you always have thought and had forgotten, that that when you worship the bairn, there are no coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
And that deja vu like that is usually she told you something that you were to trust or that you were to experience and go towards. So you feel like you're making the right decision here, trusting this creature to lead you through the fog. And you both fade into the fog with the creature and travel for quite some time. And that's where we will end this session. We'll discover where you end up next time.
Yay!
All right. Thank you both so much for sticking around despite tech gremlins and our delayed start. Those of you who are watching the show, thank you so much for joining us. Once again, I am Angela. You can find me on Twitter at darling_gypsum. I'll be here tonight on Shenanigans. I believe we are playing our continued what I'd call our substitute campaign, Monster of the Week campaign called A Taste of Paradise. You can find us at 7 p.m. Pacific tonight. Same place. Come over here on our Twitch channel. Mustang, do you want to give people where... I mean, if you look on screen, you can find Mustang's information, but do you want to tell people what you're up to, where they can find you, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'll do it quick because my brain fog is setting in.
Please,
but I'm on Twitter at Mustangsart, and through that you can also find out about the show that I do and the channel that I run, which is called Heroes Without Limits, on Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. And it's a show advocating for better disability representation in Dungeons and Dragons, and it's a cast of all disability, chronically ill and neurodivergent folks, and it's really fun, and you should definitely check it out. We have a new show starting on the 26th called Hero Sheets, which is about interviews with people who play characters who are disabled and chronically ill and such. So it's really interesting. You get to learn from a new perspective, and you'll also learn how to incorporate these topics respectively in your own games.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mustang. I really, really appreciate it. It's been a blast with Zeradius, and we have one more week of game, so we'll wrap up our story next week. So you have a wonder. I know it's late for you.
Too late now.
And Jason, real quick, like one sentence. Tell us all about yourself in one sentence.
I don't know if I can do that, but
That's
at
one
the
sentence.
very least,
Oh God.
oh god,
No.
at the very least, my name is Jason. At just Jason, please on Twitter if you want to find out where I'm at any point in time. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. This has been great, and it's been a joy to actually get to play, even as I don't know what the hell's happening at any one point in time. So, yeah,
you both did beautifully. It was such a nice. It was so nice to play with you guys this week. So once again, we usually play Final Rites on this channel. We have one more week of our show here, Tabula Rakshasa, and then we will be back to our regularly scheduled Hellish Shenanigans. And yeah, so you can find us here at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, normally, when the tech gremlins are not a scourge on our lives. But yeah, and once again, we are part of the Nerdsmith Network. We are sponsored by World Anvil, wonderful campaign management software, beautiful community. You should definitely check them out at worldanvil.com. And Die Hard Dice, who make really, really gorgeous metal and polymer dice, and you should check them out at dieharddice.com. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.